and welcome to Fireside and Fairy Tale. This is flosstube number 9 and this is the 18th of February 2025, and here in Scotland we have snow. It's still pretty chilly out there, but that means that we can still have lots of opportunity to stay warm indoors and keep stitching. So what have I been doing this week? Well, if you've been following me, you'll find that I have actually been stitching furiously on my Valentine's Day heart. And that was a departure from my original February plans. I wasn't planning, but somehow or other it fell into place. And I ended up with a few days of stitching this heart and then finishing it and making it up and having it as a lovely gift for a couple that I know. And I put the film in 5 episodes of the actual stitching up on my internet website so that you can see that on YouTube. If you want, you can follow me along. Here was the result. And I put a red velvet ruffle around it because I wanted it to be a particularly bright and cheerful Valentine's gift. However, I used a lovely heart that I may well stitch again according to the actual designer's ideas, because the original one from the designers is absolutely beautiful. It's from the Heart Remembers book by Blackbird Designs, and you can see it's up at the top here. It's actually originally on quite a dull fabric, and the threads are much more subdued. I used very bright coloured ones, and the tails of the birds are really quite long, so that I did adapt this this design, having said that one should never adapt designers' ideas. That's exactly what I went ahead and did, so you should never say never. It's a lovely book. I highly recommend it, and you can see there are 3 hearts here, so a nice choice. That meant, of course, that I was slightly behind with my plans, and as it happened, my plans for February diverted into alphabets, which was completely unexpected. But floss tubers will know that we may make our plans, but we don't need to keep to them. And it's always the creative side of stitching that draws me. So I felt free to have a look at alphabets. The reason for that was because of the alphabet that I had finished on this sampler here, which is called an 1861 Antique Sampler by Blackbird Designs. And it actually has 3 alphabets in it. And I took some time to finish this top alphabet and drew to a halt unexpectedly and went off at a tangent. However, I was going to be rather disciplined, and so I came back after my detour and I did complete all of the motifs at the bottom of this sampler. I love this sampler. It's very different to what I usually stitch. I love the colours of the thread that are recommended, though they're slightly different from the photograph. And I stitched this on 32, I'm stitching it on 32 count oatmeal by Fibre on a Whim, which I'm finding is absolutely lovely linen. And I am using the recommended threads by Blackbird Designs. You'll find this sampler in their little book, In Friendship's Way. And that is the photograph of the sampler. I think the original is suggested that you stitch on 32 count mellow. So having stitched this alphabet, and I suppose it's from my training, the way that, or the subject matter that I teach means that if you are struggling with one thing, then try variations on it. Don't move away, don't be put off. Find it a challenge and go back and try harder, maybe with variations. And I applied that type of strategy that I employ with some of my pupils with the alphabet. I thought, no, I'm not going to give up on alphabets. I'm not going to get stuck on this. I may not continue with that sampler, though I am aiming to have it finished by the end of February, definitely. But let's look at other alphabets. And so I went to a little piece that I had really forgotten. It was sort of tucked away in my chest of drawers with some other fabric, and I had got stuck on this, but I loved the alphabet. And the alphabet that I had done on this was a really brightly coloured piece. Every letter is a different bright colour, and it's just very, very cheerful. The reason I got stuck on this was I'd found the colour of fabric really quite challenging. It's called Brash. This is 36 count Brash by Picture This Plus, and I'd found it such a strong fabric. It wasn't the fabric that had been recommended. So it's quite a long story on this one, but I'm very pleased with the way that I've taken it up and I'm running with it, particularly with the alphabet. We'll be coming back to more alphabets in a minute, so bear with me. There's some more of the alphabet here, and I'm working backwards up the design with little bits of alphabet. What was the original design? Well, the original design was my friend's house, which is Loose Feathers, Abecedarian Series 8 by Blackbird Designs. And I had got very little done on this and was not very happy with it for a number of reasons. They had asked for 30 count espresso, and that's by R&R Reproductions, which I couldn't find. I'd gone for the Brash, and then I'd got struggling on the colour of thread. So the thread, I'd chosen very bright original colours to go with this Brash, and then I used a much more muted palette as well. So a great many threads sitting there to be chosen from for this. For the more muted threads, I used them in the border. I used them on the border. Excuse me. And it's quite a deep border going up the side there. And I did take a photograph of the border and put it on Instagram, so you can go and look there for it. But it doesn't actually include that light green and the emerald green. I put that in there. And I've done that in order to integrate the emerald green house over on this side. And I used a much more delicate border on this, which is my own design, because I wanted it to balance against these two very, very strong houses. But I still like the houses. I didn't want to take them out and start again. The title of this one is a bit of a secret, because I'm going to do the rest of the alphabet as we come up to this border, and then I'm going to use my motto, or motto of my choice, at the top. And once I've put it in, then I will entitle the design and I can show you the result. So it was a good idea to stop one alphabet, pick up another alphabet that I'd gone so far with, and then I'm going to complete this alphabet and very much more of the actual whole sampler and see how we go with that. But on this idea of alphabets, I'll come back to, or we'll go forward to a couple more later in this little episode. But there was an interlude here again, and that was because I just woke up one morning, and you know what it's like when you're stitching, you can do this. And I thought, oh, I really want to get on with Anne Grant. Anne Grant is a beautiful sampler, and I'd had it in my drawer for quite a number of years. Anne Grant is supplied by Shakespeare's Peddler, Teresa Vanette, also called the Kitten Stitcher. And Teresa was very kind to me when I first made a rather wobbly, insecure start on flosstube quite a number of years ago now. She was lovely, and then I bought the Anne Grant from her, and I just loved it. I absolutely love this one, and I love the border on it. It has a beautiful pink called Camelot. I think it's Camelot's Lady. She gives the silk that are her choice in it, but also a conversion for DMC, and I think other threads as well. But I managed to get the Camelot's Lady, and then it sort of sat again. So that particular day I woke up, I thought, no, I really want to get going with Anne Grant. I want to make a start on Anne Grant. But I wanted to do a size that was 36 count. Now, Teresa is excellent because she gives the different counts and the finished sizes. So I wanted to go with 36 count, which would produce a sampler about 16 inches by 19.5 inches. And so that needed to be quite a large piece of fabric that I was going to have to find, because I wanted 2-inch border all round. I was looking there for a piece of fabric about 20 inches by about 24 inches of 36 count. Well, could I find anything? I've really struggled on this. And if you look at the picture of the reproduction, it's really quite a stone coloured with a pink wash going through it. Quite a light fabric. And so the only piece of fabric that I had was 50 count. But I was terribly interested about getting started that particular day. However, it's February and it's still very, very dark for a lot of the day in Scotland here. And so there I was in the afternoon with 50 count and the electric light. Now, daylight here in the summer is very, very bright. We have lovely, bright light here in the summer months and in the spring. But I didn't want to wait till then, which would be an ideal time to be working on 50 count. I know that you can get daylight bulbs, but I don't have a daylight bulb. So there I was, sitting in the afternoon, quite dark, with electric light. And of course, because it was mid-afternoon, my lovely cat Casper has his snuggle on my lap. So I had a wobbly cat on my lap, I had electric light, and I had 50 count. And this was the start I made under these rather difficult circumstances. That was the start I made. And if you look closely, it's not bad, but it's not great. It's not great. And so I decided, no, I think this is a bad idea. So it goes around that way. I think this is a bad idea. And so I gave up. And started to look for fabric. Well, could I find any? Oh, could I find any that was going to be large enough? It took me quite a while, but I did find something. And I found something from one of my shops, Fobbles, Fobbles, and it's absolutely beautiful. I'm really happy with it. It's Zweigart, and it is vintage 309, 36 count, a very large piece of fabric. Now I'm thrilled with this because, as you can see, it's got a green sheen on it. I love working on greenish linen if you can find it. Not that easy actually, rather than caramel. There are a great many caramel based fabrics, but not so many greenish. And I think that if you can get greenish, if you're using a bright pink, which Camelot's Lady is, it's a silk, then this is going to be an ideal fabric. So I'm very, very pleased with that. With a bit of struggle, we're finally going to go forward with Anne Grant, and I'll probably put a few stitches in there this afternoon and get a start on it. So that's Anne Grant. Now, moving back to my theme of alphabets, I thought I would show you a red bird sampler that I designed quite a few years ago now. And I stitched this on American chestnut, and it is 36 count. And I use the Gentle Art Simply Shaker Schoolhouse Red. There is a DMC conversion. You could use DMC 150, 321 or 816 on that fabric. And the alphabet is from a lovely little French book called Alphabet de la Brodeuse, which I have here. Do I have it? Yes, I do. I have a little copy of this lovely book, which is very fragile. DMC, there you go. French alphabets. This is so fragile, I am going to have to go and get it mended, I think. But it's a lovely, lovely resource to use. And this was that was my booklet for the red bird. And then, coincidentally, on Instagram, I found Brenda Holzman stitching a blue sampler. And I thought, oh, I've got to go with that as well. I've got to just have the single thread and go with a simple design, and I just loved the blue. And so I followed her using Winter Moon. Again, you know, I love Winter Moon. And an alphabet adapted from my little French book. I got a whole line of alphabet done, and I've just begun a little design at the bottom there. And I know that she is recommending that you use one thread a day. It's Fathom, no, not Fathom, Freedom. There we go. Just a beautiful combination. She uses one thread a day. Now, I don't do that because I don't like being in the middle of a letter, even though you finished the thread. I'd much rather that I finished a letter and an alphabet, or 2 letters or 3 letters, but get to the end of a letter rather than the end of a thread per day. So it's a very quick stitch. And of course, this is all going to encourage me to go back to the original alphabets that I still have to complete with the antique 1861, which is what I will do, and that is my aim for the end of the month, to have that finished. Finally, back to the designers, and this one by Blackbird Designs. Merrily, merrily we welcome the spring. And certainly everyone here is welcoming the spring, wanting to welcome the spring. It's supposed to be getting warmer at the end of the week. I can't wait, frankly, till the temperatures start to rise, and then I can think about getting into the garden. However, here we are with this beautiful Blackbird Designs sampler. Merrily, merrily we welcome the spring. And this one appealed to me because it very much reminds me of the sampler that I grew up with. And if you've listened to some of my earlier videos, you'll know that I grew up with an antique sampler in my home. It was in our sitting room on the wall above our antique sewing table. And it's a Scottish sampler, a very beautiful one. It has its peacock and the large house with the steps and the checkered lawn. I can't show it to you because I handed it on to my daughter. However, it was quite faded. It is quite faded, and even then it was quite faded. Even as a teenager growing up, I would look on it as quite an old faded article, and this effect here on this sampler reminds me of the one that I grew up with. Very gentle faded effect of the thread on that linen, and I was very, very happy to be able to obtain the recommended linen for this particular sampler, which is oaken. I was able to get 36 count oaken and a piece by Picture This Plus. There are 16 threads here. That's some of them 2 skeins, so that's actually quite a number of threads to be asking for use on one sampler, but it gives it a really, really rich effect, I think. And I'm looking forward very much to stitching this. And I've made a start just in the corner here. Just the top corner there. And you can see that there is an alphabet there, and I've just begun the alphabet. So lots of alphabets this week, lots of alphabets. They use a lovely red called Baked Apple, and I find Blackbird Designs do choose Baked Apple quite regularly in any of the samplers of theirs that I've been stitching, and that's by Weeks Dye Works. Baked Apple. It's a beautiful, beautiful, gentle russet, sort of faded russet red. There's so many reds. We say red. There's so many shades of red. It's quite incredible. And there we are. So I hope that you've enjoyed this week's contribution to flosstube, and that you are inspired, that it's helped to see some of the fabric and the thread, and that you might even want to choose to buy one of these different booklets, but certainly you might want to go on and look at alphabets, or maybe you've just so much into your own stitching and you've just had me on in the background, which is fine as well. I absolutely enjoy watching many different floss tubes, but particularly Saltbox Stitcher, hello Narissa down in New Zealand, and of course Nicole, Nicole's needlework. I still go back and watch her videos. I find them so inspiring. And there are many more. There is Brenda and the Serial Stitcher. I was watching them this morning. So aren't we blessed with our internet flosstube friends? It's wonderful. So as I say, I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you if you're a new subscriber. Thank you if you've already been described and come back. And keep continuing to come and see me. I'll be back soon with more stitching. In the meantime, enjoy your own stitching. Have a great week. Bye-bye.